Hello, thanks for joining us. This is Dr. Lisa Humfeld-Wilson with Humfeld Chiropractic and Nutrition Center. And our topic tonight is healthy digestion, beat the bloat. And digestion is a big problem for a lot of people, and that's part of the reason that we have chosen to discuss this topic a little further in more detail. So, digestion is where we're breaking down the foods into nutrients, which the body uses for energy, growth, and cell repair. And this is something that, of course, is important to all of us, making sure that we're breaking down those nutrients properly. It's also the part where the food and drink must be changed into smaller molecules in order to be properly broken. The body breaks down nutrients from food and drink into carbs, proteins, fats, or vitamins. And those are what the body's going to break those nutrients down into when we eat or drink certain things. So carbs, oftentimes carbohydrates, people are like, what are we talking? What do you mean when you're saying carbs? So these are the sugars, the starches, the fibers found in many foods. Now a lot of the flours, your body will also treat as a carb as well. So the simple carbs are the sugars found naturally in foods. So we're talking like your fruits, your vegetables, milk, whole milk, that type of thing. Now, the complex carbs, these are going to be more of the starches and fibers found in the whole grain foods. So the whole grain breads, the whole grain cereals, the starchy vegetables, the legumes. And sometimes these starches, some of those, more of those grains type of thing, some bodies will have a harder time digesting some of those. So the dietary guidelines, again, this is dietary guidelines, recommends 40 to 65% of the daily intake comes from carbs. Now, this can vary person to person, and depending on, these are kind of breaking down when we're talking fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. They're also considered macros. And so sometimes those macros can be adjusted for a person who is maybe looking to lose weight, maybe they're looking to gain, some more lean muscle, that type of thing too. So the carbohydrates, those numbers can be adjusted depending on the person and what their desired outcome is. So those three things are called macros. Protein, the body digests protein into smaller molecules called amino acids. The body absorbs amino acids through the small intestine, then into the blood, then carries them throughout the body. Foods that contain those large molecules of protein often consist of meat. Sometimes you can get some of this from some of the nuts and seeds as well. Now, again, dietary guidelines, looking at the American dietary guidelines recommend about 10 to 35% of your total daily intake comes from protein. Then we have fats. So the fat molecules are a rich source of energy for the body. Fats are going to help the body absorb those vitamins. Healthy fats include coconut oil, avocados, sunflower seeds, chia seeds, tuna, salmon, some of your fish oils. So dietary guidelines for the Americans recommends 20 to 35% of your daily intake comes from fats. And so oftentimes you've seen a lot of low-fat diets as kind of a fad, and this is something that we can definitely take a look at. So those dietary fats are something that are not necessarily shouldn't be excluded. They're a necessary part of it. And believe it or not, your brain even needs some of those fats. So fats are something that we want to make sure that we're getting enough of those fats in our diet. So vitamins. So each vitamin has a different role in the body when we're talking about the body's growth and health. So the vitamins are divided into the water-soluble vitamins and then the fat-soluble vitamins. So the water-soluble vitamins, these are all your B vitamins, your vitamin C. And when we're talking vitamin C, we're not talking ascorbic acid. We're talking like the whole vitamin C complex. And those water-soluble vitamins are not easily stored in the body. This is where they're going to flush out those extra water-soluble vitamins through the urine. Now, the fat-soluble vitamins, these are your vitamin A, your D, your E, your K. These are stored easily in the liver and those fatty tissues. So some of the best and worst foods when it comes to bloating. So our topic tonight again is digestion and beat the bloat. So cucumbers, bananas, asparagus, the yogurt with the probiotics, the kefir, some more of those fermented foods can really help digestion and some of the bloating. Ginger is another one, peppermint and so those can be a couple of the better things that can actually help improve a person's bloating, sometimes the indigestion. We've had a number of patients where they just feel blah, kind of icky after certain meals and stuff. And so these are some of the foods that can help offset that. Now, some of the foods that can actually create some of that are the legumes, some of the dairy products, some of the salty foods. And I've often even seen it with some of the grains, sometimes corn, some of the wheat, gluten, some of that stuff, and even some of those nightshade vegetables. So we're talking sometimes the peppers, sometimes even broccoli for some people can be a little bit more causing some indigestion and stuff too. So some of those cruciferous very healthy, but can also create some problems for people here and there. So those are definitely things to kind of watch for when it comes to some of the best and some of the worst foods. So again, some of the foods to avoid are some of your grains for some people, some of the legumes, some of the dairy products, some of the salty foods. And what I highly suggest is I often will have my nutrition patients keep in a food journal, and those food journals are very helpful in helping identify, eating patterns and when you have certain symptoms. And so we can sometimes test for some of these foods in the office too, and we've got different ways of doing that. But the food journal, regardless of how we're testing for them, is still a beneficial part of the process. So probiotics, this is a very important thing that is often left out of the picture when we're talking about gut health and digestion and getting rid of the that people may have. A little background noise. I'm just going to make sure that I've got everybody muted. All right, sorry about that. And now, going back to probiotics. So probiotics, this is the good bacteria in the gut. So helping, this is there to help keep that digestive system healthy by controlling the growth of that harmful bacteria. Now, what people don't realize is that when you take an antibiotic, you can kill off this good bacteria in your gut, and sometimes for up to a year. And so even if it's just a shorter term, maybe 10-day antibiotic or something like that, you really can affect this good bacteria in your gut. And the health of our gut is so important. 70 to 80% of your immune system is within your gut. So really maintaining good gut health is really important for anybody's overall health. So some of the best sources of the probiotics, so sometimes these can come in supplements, but food products, these are going to be your yogurt, your kefir. And so kefir is going to be more of a fermented, kind of almost like a liquid yogurt type of thing, but it is a fermented milk, and you can find it in whole milk. You can find it in even goat's milk. So if you're going to be drinking kefir, they often will have even more probiotics than even yogurt. So I really prefer the kefir even over the yogurt. And for those that are sensitive to dairy, kefir is another great option, because it is oftentimes even some of the whole milk kefir is considered almost 99% lactose free. And so if somebody is sensitive to some of that dairy, kefir is still an option. And you can get many more strains of a probiotic in the kefir than you're going to find in a lot of those yogurts. And so if you can find a goat's milk, kefir is actually preferred, even over whole milk, but a whole milk kefir is also an option. Now, if you're just getting started, they do flavor some of those, which adds a bit more sugar to them, but it makes it more palatable, and especially if you're trying to help a kid and with gut health or something like that, the kefir is definitely something that can be added for them as well. And then kombucha, this is something more of a fermented drink as well. And so you can often find this, for those of you in the Faribault area, this can be found in the health food section at Hy-Vee. And we now have a new health food store, Rough Acres, located downtown on Central Avenue, just a couple blocks from the office. And so, but this fermented drink also has some strains of some probiotics, the good bacteria that your gut needs. So these are a couple of the best sources for food sources. Like I said, we do have some actual capsule tablet type of forms at the office available as well from time to time. So prebiotics, these are something that it's basically food for the probiotics. So this is not very well known, not talked about very much. And we do have some products in the office as far as on the supplement side to help with this. But because carbs cannot be, carbohydrates are not always digested. And so the prebiotics can sometimes help with this. So again, they're the food for the good bacteria, the probiotics. So some of the best sources of the prebiotics come from asparagus, artichokes, banana, oatmeal, and some of those legumes. And again, we do have some of this available. We have a prebiotic inulin that we sell at the office as well, and that is more of a powdered form and can be added to maybe a kefir, a yogurt, a smoothie or shake or something, or you can even add it to your oatmeal or whatever too. So there's different sources of the prebiotics, but the prebiotics are food for the good bacteria in your gut. So again, gut health is so important when we're talking about your overall health. It is utmost importance. Now, one of the things that people don't realize is that your gut and your brain are very closely related. So there's this thing called the gut-brain axis. So this can kind of go in any which direction here, but what you're eating and then the health of your gut can impact your weight, your bowel movements, how nutrients are being delivered, your microbial balance in the body, and but this can affect your neurotransmitters, how your body handles stress, how your body handles anxiety, your mood, your behavior. And so the health of your gut can go hand in hand with what's going on with your brain. So when you think about this, and maybe you think of your current situation, and maybe memory is an issue, attention span is an issue, maybe you've got kids where, their behavior is really almost what could be diagnosed as ADD or ADHD, maybe even some autism, or types of things are showing up. One of the things that I encourage you to take a look at, whether it's yourself or a family member, is to look at the health of their gut. What is their diet like? What are they eating? Have they been on like multiple rounds of antibiotics? What have they done over the last, since, this problem is showing up, or even over the last few years? What's their diet been like? And so these two go hand in hand. And so when I see somebody that's, got different, even mental health challenges going on, how the way that they're handling stress, the mental fatigue, some of those behavioral things, as well as what you see here on the left of your screen with the weight gain, the bowel movement, those go hand in hand. But oftentimes when we've got those mental health things, some of those behavioral things, even the memory, the brain fog, some of that stuff, it can tie in with what's going on in the gut. So they do go hand in hand, and oftentimes people don't put those two and two together. So again, I really encourage you to, even for yourself as well as for those that are family members or friends that you're concerned about, some of their mental health, their behavioral stuff, attention, whatever it may be, memory. What is their diet like? What's their gut? What do you think their gut health looks like? So they do definitely go hand in hand. So a couple things that we can do at the office. So one of them is we do some Young Living essential oils. And these are a few of my favorite oils that can help with some of the digestion and the bloat. So peppermint essential oil. And not only does it smell good, but it can actually help with digestion. So this is one that can be used. Digest is another oil that can be used as well. And fennel, ginger, and ocotea. Now, another one that's not listed on here but can also help with some of the digestion would even be lemongrass. And lemongrass is also a good one for some of the inflammation and that type of thing too. So digest, when you look at digest is a nice one that can be used sometimes internally or topically, as well as being diffused. It's a lot more often topical or taken internally to help with some of that digestion. So these are some of the oils that can be used to help and improve digestion as well. Now, when we're talking oils, Young Living just has this promotion that just came out like late last night. And so if somebody is interested in getting started with Young Living oils, that you can order this premium starter kit. And this is with the Dewdrop diffuser that you see pictured here. And if you add on the orange, the lemongrass, the eucalyptus radiata, and the grapefruit, you can do all of that. Regular price of all these things individually would be over $405, and you're getting those products for $181 plus shipping and tax. So it's a great deal, and but this offer is only good through Thursday night this week. So if you're interested in that, you can see my email pictured here. I can definitely help you get those ordered. My Young Living member number is also here too. So feel free to contact me. The number listed here is actually my cell phone. We will have the office number listed here as well. So ALCAT, this is another test that can be used in the office, and this is done as a blood draw. And so what this looks like is, this is something that you're interested in, you would come in and purchase the test kit, and then we schedule a lab to come and do a blood draw. And typically this is done at your home, sometimes place of work. And then the blood is sent to the lab, and the blood is then tested for different foods that can cause inflammation. Sometimes we can also test for environmental toxins, molds, a few different chemicals. and some food additives. So there's a variety of different things that we can test for. And again, this is done as a blood draw. Now, when we're talking on the food side, this is of particular interest to many people when we're talking digestion, which is why we're bringing it up in this webinar, because they can test for a variety of foods that can cause inflammation in your body. And so once you get those results back, the results come back and they will list those results in foods that you're severely, basically allergic to or sensitive to, moderately sensitive to, mild or no reaction. In the foods that are moderate or severe, you're asked to avoid those foods for 4 to 6 months. And at least 3 months, sometimes people go as long as 6, and sometimes they go even longer. But the foods that are mild or no reaction, what they do with those foods is they're going to put those foods on a 4-day rotation diet. And that rotation diet is important because it allows your body, every 4 days, you're kind of reintroducing another food. So it's not the same food day in, day out. You're giving your body a chance to kind of look and see how it's responding before you introduce another food again. So that's the reason for that rotation diet. And this has been helpful. I have had a number of patients that have done this ALCAT test, oftentimes in addition to another technique that we use in the office that we'll talk about here in a minute called nutritional response testing, with great results. And the ALCAT, though, I have seen people which they had no idea that they were sensitive to certain foods. One of them came back and it was high fructose corn syrup, which you know is in everything. We've had another one come back showing a severe sensitivity to chicken. Another one come back showing severe sensitivity to orange juice, which they were consuming every day. We had another one come back to showing sensitivity, a moderate sensitivity to coffee, which again was a daily or multi times a day consumption as well. So the ALCAT can show a lot, and I've seen some of the bloating change, the digestion overall improve. So a lot of tremendous results have come from that. And I know we have at least a blog or two on our website that talk about ALCAT testing, and I know we have some other information on our website as well on the ALCAT. So I encourage you guys to check that out and possibly consider having that ALCAT test done to see what foods your body may be sensitive to. So the other thing that some of these people have used in the office is a technique called nutrition response testing. So this is done as muscle testing. And what we're doing with this technique in the office is we are trying to identify what areas of the body are not working like they're supposed to, and what we can do to improve them using whole food nutrition with whole food supplements, and also working on the diet as well. So sometimes with the muscle testing, we are also able to identify some of the foods that somebody may be sensitive to as well. So we have some patients only doing nutrition response testing. Some patients choose to do this and the ALCAT test, and just to try to figure out, what foods are they really sensitive to, and what are some of the foods causing some problems in their bodies as well. So nutrition response testing is offered some great results to some people. And one in particular that comes to mind is a patient who had actually done both the nutrition response testing and the ALCAT. And she actually works at one of the major clinics in the area and was not seeing the help that she thought she would working at a major medical clinic. And so she done the ALCAT and then also did the nutrition response testing and improved her health so much that she was not only eating better, feeling better, sleeping better, but she even lost some weight in the process and saved $20 a month on her life insurance premium because of how much her health improved. So I love that story. Love to share that story because who wouldn't want to save money on the life insurance policy or in other areas by simply improving your health? So it can happen. So what I would like to offer for those of you who were watching tonight or are listening to this over the next week, if you have never worked with me before, we are offering that nutrition response testing exam. Usually is $130, and we're offering that for only $40 now. And if you are already a current patient, you're welcome to share this webinar with another person over the next week or so, and we would also offer them that same deal on the nutrition response testing. But if you are also interested in the ALCAT test, we are offering a 10% savings on that ALCAT. So you can call the office at 507-333-5388 to schedule that initial nutrition response testing visit or to order the ALCAT test. And this offer does expire on Halloween, and let's hope that we don't have any snow next week, but I think we're expecting snow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the chat line, and if you guys have any questions, you guys are welcome to go ahead and ask through the chat. And what I can do is I can try to unmute you too here, and you can also ask that way as well. So does anyone have any questions?
Lisa, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, it's Liz.
Yes.
So for the bananas, I've read that those have to be green to be considered a prebiotic. Do they have to be green or can they be yellow?
To be considered a prebiotic, I think they are suggested to be a little bit more on the greener side.
Okay.
But a little interesting thing that happened at the office today was her massage therapist had a banana that she wasn't able to eat before she had a massage. And it was pretty, she thought it was pretty brown and it needed to be eaten right away. She stuck it in the fridge, actually it turned almost green again. It was kind of interesting. So I'm not sure that that's the best way to make them green again and actually make them more like a probiotic, but it was an interesting observation. But that's a great question. Any other questions? So one of the things I wanted to mention when I was talking about the lemongrass essential oil is that that is a really good one, not just for some of the digestion, and it wasn't listed on that slide, but I did talk about it there. But that is another great one that can also be used for inflammation and sometimes even topical joint pain and that type of thing too. So the lemongrass is, for those of you doing oils, that is one to definitely, have in your supply as well.
How do you recommend taking them orally?
So to take them orally, sometimes what I do, like this morning, I actually just added it right to a smoothie. There are clear little cap type of things that you can purchase. You can order some of those right straight through Young Living, or they can also be purchased possibly through Amazon or something like that. And then you can add some of the oils directly to those caps too. So sometimes you need to still have a little carrier oil in some of those as well. But again, those capsules aren't very big. So, it depends on which oil, but that's so. Like I said, this morning I actually just added a couple of drops of, I think I did peppermint and cinnamon to my smoothie this morning, and then I had a drink over lunch and just a couple drops. So some of them can be taken, in just a beverage. Sometimes you can do some of them as a tea. Some of them can also be done through some of the gel caps and stuff too. You're taking them internally. But that's a great question. Any other questions that anybody else may have? If not, I appreciate you guys all being here. And this call or webinar was recorded. So, or at least I'm hoping, let me double check before I sure. So it is being recorded. So what we can do is Shania will go ahead and can email out this recording tomorrow. Now I see that one of you might be calling on a phone line. So, and if that's the case, that's great. But I want to just make sure that we get everybody covered. So again, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you all have a good night, and feel free to call, email, or stop by the office if you have any further questions. Have a great night. Thank you.